Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi il-kareem. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. So, I wanted to kind of share some interesting changes I've had in perspective regarding Muslim women being locked inside. If you recall, in the long time ago, I made a video called Gira, Male Jealousy. And I explained how a long time ago, not my daughter's father, but the kind of first person I ever loved and lived with, pretty much locked me in a room, took away my phone, was really abusive, very abusive. And I kept comparing that type of existence to the Muslim concept of women not leaving their homes. And then one day, Hamza of the Sapiens Institute was having a live stream, and I popped on there and asked him, some things, and Mari Tijani made a video about it, and that kind of showed me that there's different interpretations to what a woman should do, right? Between what was obligated upon the wives of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and upon us. So I kind of wanted to take all that and then put it to how I kind of think now after I've been, how do I put it? I've been reflecting upon, the whole issue very deeply. And about this going out of the home, something that I want to say is that, as I mentioned earlier in previous videos of my childhood, I was a free-range child. No one knew where I was, what I was doing, if I'd showered, if I'd eaten. I was walking on train tracks, wandering around the neighborhood. It was a different style of parenting that can't be done in a lot of areas today due to human trafficking and other factors. And I started thinking about how in America you have the children, some parents, they just say, go on, get out of here and go and play. They don't really follow up with you. This happens in the suburbs and in the city. And so this, I think, makes it hard for some reverts to see how the less opportunity you give for trouble, the better off you are. And now that I kind of stay home, I'm kind of a hermit, right? I mind my own business. I go to the grocery store, but I always have my partner, my mate with me. If I go somewhere alone, I know I'm safe, or I have a weapon, I have something to seriously harm a criminal, and I am the type of person who, if I'm assaulted, I'm going for your eyeballs and your gut, and you won't really like that. So I understand this sort of independent-minded thinking. However, I started reflecting upon that not every woman lives in a safe neighborhood, and that to tell Muslim women that are leaning towards feminism that you should just leave your house and walk about the ghettos like nothing, this leads to a lot of sexual assault and abduction, robberies, and it's not exactly safe for you to be wandering about because you want to break this sort of stereotype that women are locked inside. Now, I've compared how I feel now to how I felt back then. And when you have roommates, you want to be out of the house because you're stuck inside with people. California has roommate culture. I lived with illegal immigrants and in the hoods, and had all male roommates. There was 8 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment. I had my own room, and they had to share a room, and then others slept in the living room. That's how it was. And I was always out because I don't want to be stuck inside with all those people. And for much of my life, there was always stuck with a lot of people, so you have to go out to get your sanity, right? And now that I look at it, where it's just me, my little one, and her father, your house doesn't feel like a prison because it's your little castle. It is mine in a way. No one's there touching nothing I want them to touch. I don't have to worry about, okay, I gotta take a shower at this time because so-and-so's gotta use it because they gotta go to work. The logistics of navigating roommates isn't there. So there's no real compulsion to kind of hate going home, right? And I don't have to listen to anyone else's conversations. Before, you'd be laying down, someone's talking, and then in the past, some people would be drinking. Not when I was Muslim, right? I'm not talking about that recently, but it gets to be a problem, is my point. Someone's in the kitchen. There's not a lot of, you can't escape, so the only way to go is outside. And if you don't live in a safe area, this can cause a lot of trouble. When I lived in a couple of different hoods, I'd walk to the 7-Eleven, and it's pretty dangerous because men will have their car and they'll whistle cat at you like, hey, hey. Like they treat you like a streetwalker. They harass you. There's also people selling drugs on the street. There's people arguing in the street. There's people approaching you to sell you things. Things can go haywire pretty quickly. And maybe you could make a comparison between someone being covered up and have to get harassed, or someone who is showing their hair and their breasts and butt. They get more harassed by the male gaze and by jealous females, but still, threat is there, you know? Because some people, they loiter, they kick it outside, they block the sidewalk, they're smoking blunts, they don't care about nobody but what they're doing right there. And if you're out walking around, instead of being inside safe, having a hobby, sewing, you know, maybe you're fixing a computer, maybe you're, you know, knitting, cross-stitching, carpentry, you know, who knows? You could be trying a new recipe, making your own homemade ice cream. You could be doing, you know, vlog videos. You could be studying. You name it. There's so many things you can do at home instead of wandering about getting into trouble, right? Because the more you wander about in certain neighborhoods, the higher chance you have of encountering some weirdo. There is a lot of mentally ill homeless people in California. There is quite a few, and very few people are going to save you if you get attacked. They're going to pull out their phones and just stare like weirdos at you. This has been a new phenomenon now, where people just stand and film. They don't intervene. And a lot of the homeless are high on meth and have weapons. And with the liberals defunding the police and advocating for that, police budgets have been cut, so just less response time for you. Again, not every place is safe for you to be just going out. So staying inside and having more of a security, a citadel, if you will, a fortress, your home, is wise. Because you can sit out on your backyard, your patio. You know, you have to be careful. You have to be wise, because there are people who go around looking for trouble. You know, I've encountered this a lot in my life, where you were minding your own business and someone else had a different agenda, and they come and they mess with you. And you're like, hey man, I'm just trying to go about my day. And they ain't having it because they don't have the same morals and the same ethics. Okay? And also, if you're a beautiful woman, okay, you're looking good, you also got to worry about stalkers in the neighborhood. You don't really know your neighbors that well. Okay? And some people, you can know them, but they start using drugs, they change. Because the drugs create a chemical imbalance in their head, and they might start lusting for you. And one day see you walking alone without your male guardian, no weapon, no taser, no pepper spray, no knife, no Second Amendment, no guard dog, nothing. Okay? And they're stronger than you because they're a male. Don't believe the leftists. Men are stronger than women. And this is coming from a woman who knows how to fight and has fought men. They can just pummel you, you know, and pull you behind an alley and have at you and cover your mouth and choke you out, knock you unconscious. You know, one solid hit from a man in your temple can literally black out. And if you've ever been hit hard enough and you've blacked out and you've woken up on the ground, it's a pretty scary experience. Okay, when you get knocked out, when you get KO'd. And when you're a woman who's living in a place where there's low morality, staying inside and minding your own business and cutting off drama as much as you can is a mercy. Now, if you live in a semi-safe area, you still have to be wise when you walk around. Okay, what time is it? The highest traffic is between 9 and 3, because that's when the schools are going, people are traveling to work, okay? But around after 5, you better stay inside, because that's when people get off of work and they're going to start wanting to go out. And I'd say at night, you shouldn't be walking around at all. It's highly dangerous. Don't copy the secular, liberal, feminist, atheists who get wasted, they get high, and they get in any dude's car. They go in the bathroom with dudes. They go behind buildings with dudes. They take high-risk choices, get traumatized, and then blame all men. When in reality, they don't have the same accountability and fear of evil. Some of them even deny evil exists. And they think that there's some special princess who nothing bad will happen to. So they always test the limits with arrogance and pride, thinking nothing will happen to them. And when it does, they don't blame themselves. They don't think maybe I shouldn't have done that. They don't think maybe I should live in a better area. Maybe I should have had a better friend. Maybe I shouldn't have been high. Maybe I shouldn't have been drunk. Maybe I should have had some type of weapon to defend myself. Maybe I should have looked around more instead of staring at my phone distracted. They don't do that kind of stuff. Instead, it's just all men, or it's all women. Again, if you have a Muslim feminist hijabi who is saying that it's like prison to be locked inside, I, as a revert, can see what she's trying to say, but at the same time, now that I've got to experience both sides, I feel like I have a very well-rounded view. Because living with my ex long ago, he literally wouldn't let me leave. It was literally abusive. He would go out, leave me inside. We lived with his mom, who was a witch, and her husband, his brother, and his baby mama and their kid. And I had my 2 pit bulls outside. And it was in the ghetto. So it wasn't possible to kind of hang out. And in these homes in the hood, they're very tiny. It's one level, and the living room is right there. So the only thing to do is to just watch TV at that time. Didn't have a PlayStation or books or anything like that. I had a fish tank. So it wasn't possible to walk my dog or anything like that. But even then, the couple times I did try, I got jumped. I had just too many close calls with crazy people. And shootouts and fights happen all the time in the parks and the hoods. So it's not very safe for you to go and relax, and there's needles on the ground. It's not very safe. So the best thing for me, even though I was miserable in that time, was to stay inside. Okay? And another thing I will always be honest and say too is that if you're walking around as a woman, you change the way you walk to be attractive sometimes. I don't do that now because I'm just like, I'm going from point A to point B. And I'm kind of more of like looking around for weirdos, so I'm different now. But in the past, you want to try to make yourself look beautiful, right? Especially if you have, no mate. And your eyes can wander where they shouldn't. And sometimes curiosity kills the cat. Sometimes you look at someone, you see, oh, they live there. And some men work out in the front yard with their bench presses, and they just have their shirts off and they're working out, and all the guys are out there, and then they see you walk by, they'll run across the street, try to talk to you, and if you ignore them, they're like, oh, who's that, you know who that is, who's that? And some of them don't care if you're married, and then you get tempted in your heart, because you're like, oh, so-and-so lives there, maybe I'll walk past there again. Then you're thinking about them, And you also got to be careful, too, of just some jealous, mean sisters. Not Muslims, but, okay, I shouldn't call them sisters, but jealous women who will cause you trouble. Especially if they slang drugs. If they slang drugs, some of them women are brutal. Thug women are just that. They're thugs. They don't care about your hijab, your niqab, your himar, your burqa. They don't care about none of that. Okay, if they think you're a little religious girl coming through their territory, maybe bringing the attention of cops. You might be a snitch. They gonna mess you up. So you have to know that staying inside isn't always something negative, and that being home, doing more productive things and walking about, and spending money where you don't really need to, it's not necessarily like a prison. So make your home comfortable to where you want to stay, and don't drag your kids around with you so that you can walk around a neighborhood that maybe you're not really being honest about the crime rates. Okay? Because people will rob you even if you have a stroller. They'll straight rip your gold necklace off, jack your ring, take your Apple iWatch, beat you in front of your kid, and leave you in the street. And ain't nobody gonna come out of the house to help you. This is the raw reality in many places. So it's easy for the apostate and feminist Muslims to tell you to be reckless without them really looking at every condition in every neighborhood and how dangerous it is for women to be alone now. With high unemployment, high drug use, low morality, vast gang expansionism, cartels, and other things, you gotta worry about stuff, okay? And lots of people who are not in the asylum, out on the streets, with low police responses, and you don't have a weapon, you're literally like a plump duck just waiting to be eaten by a fox. And you can't think that your hijab and niqab is gonna command respect from everyone. There are plenty of people who would rape you with it on. So you must be wise. And you have to have a balanced perspective. I've looked at this like how my life has changed, how I got to experience both, how Allah has given me some insights into this. And now, as I age, it's like, if you go to the grocery store, you go to the library, close distances, in a safe area, well lit, and you have a weapon, okay, and you're not wearing anything that attracts attention, as in terms of jewelry or status of wealth, maybe you can go for it. But don't think of like staying inside as a punishment. It can get boring, but that's why you gotta have hobbies. That's why I made candle soap, I did painting. I have so many things that I do. And sometimes you just have a nap or a nice hot shower that ends with cold water. Pamper yourself. Okay? Make your own little hair oil and, put vanilla scent in it. I mean, there's so many fun things you can do. Clean, have some houseplants, have a garden. There's just too many fun things for you to do at home for you to justify wandering about in places where it may not be safe. And don't think you're safe if you're in New York City, you're in San Francisco, you're in Las Vegas. Trouble comes in many places. And, the media is not exactly talking a lot about human trafficking and how much there is of abduction of women. And I will also tell you that if you're wandering about, you may see something you're not supposed to, and that can put you in danger. If you see a pimp disciplining his piece of meat, let's put it that way, because that's how they view them, and he sees you and recognizes you, he's going to give you that death stare, like, you better not say something. You have to be careful, because you can wander across something you ain't supposed to see. Okay, lots of people get shot because they walked in on a drug deal, or they was walking down the neighborhood in the wrong moment, and they don't want no witnesses. So sometimes you gotta be wise and think, is it good for me to be alone, walking around? And so many times on the subway, weird things happen, man. Homeless people smoking meth right there, people peeing on the subway. It's nasty, So if you can wait till your partner comes home, or a friend can take you, this is much better. But at the same time, watch who you're hanging out with, because your friends can get you in trouble as well. Because if your friends pissing other people off, causing trouble, and their enemies come to collect while you're with them, you're gonna get that punishment too. So just always remember that wandering around the streets breeds opportunity for danger. And you shouldn't hate your own home. If you hate your own home, you need to figure out how to make it better. And sometimes that means having no roommates, moving to a different neighborhood, sacrificing so you can have peace of mind and make your home your home. And once you like your home, you can invite people over for tea time with cute little sandwiches. You can do a lot to make your home a home. And then it doesn't feel like a prison. Okay? And then you'll appreciate having peace of mind, less drama, and protecting your property. Okay? Because more and more now, people in Los Angeles are discovering homeless people breaking into their houses. Lots of trouble, man. Lots of trouble. So people building fences. You gotta watch out. These liberals who are trying to infiltrate Islam and get you to rebel against safety are the same people who can't fix those liberal areas and who are soft on crime. Look at who is trying to brainwash you into reducing your safety. Okay? They literally say abolish prisons. I watched a debate yesterday where they want to abolish prisons. Abolish the police department. Legalize all drugs, tax and regulate. It's like, ban the Second Amendment. Stop freedom of speech. It's like, whoa. So you gotta see who these people are. They like Daddy Darwin. They don't fear Allah. And they don't even think the devil exists. So why would you listen to them? Or feminist hijabis who wear a lot of makeup and who lie about their age, saying that they're younger than what they are, and they're trying to get you to rebel, to go into high interest debt banking. So remember, you got these feminist hijabis who are telling you to go into debt, who mock the kitchen, okay? Who have no children, who mock and don't appreciate fertility, who call you an extremist if you wear a niqab. Those same hijabi feminists are now telling young girls to rebel and to go outside and be out and about without telling you the warnings. Liberals never like to tell you the downside of their policy. They just censor you. So please take my advice, because I've lived both of those lives and now I have a great life. Now I don't have to work, okay? I get to stay home. I have no roommates. I have peace of mind, okay? It's so awesome. It's amazing that Allah made me struggle since the age of 17, living on my own, living in poverty, living with food insecurity, living with bed bugs, around gang members, all that stuff, to now have peace of mind in beautiful nature where I see the sky. I have a cute little garden with a bunch of edible flowers that taste kind of like spinach. And I have my birds, I have my books, I feed the crows and squirrels, I get to go watch ducks, I can hike. I have just so much to be thankful for. My home doesn't feel like a prison. So I just want you to think about that, young ones, before you go and say you want to go out there. Because I was about that. I was just, like I said, since childhood, always out. Just always somewhere. But at the same time, when you're always out, you're nowhere in here. You're like a floating spirit looking for something to click on. And sometimes where your gaze lands is going to get you in trouble. And the less you cut that stuff off, the better. Doesn't mean you kind of become mentally ill, locked inside and depressed, but it means you have a balance and you start to have hobbies and you can exercise. You can do so many things, man. Again, don't look at the home as a prison. It took me time to realize that, but it took lots of reflection and the insights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me to see that there is wisdom in having a tight home and being around so you can keep an eye on the neighborhood. If I see someone out drinking, I ain't gonna let you drink in front of this property. I see someone breaking into a car, you're gonna get arrested. So me being home allows me to protect my neighbor's property while they're at work. It also allows me to be available for any emergencies. I don't miss working. I have other side things that I do that don't have to be done with a physical location, with a punch card, or a clock-in number. One day I might have to go back to that. Who knows? This is the longest I've never not worked. There was times I had 3 jobs. But I can say that it is peaceful, it is serenity, it is relaxing, and it is merciful. So, having a home that you love, having a family that you love, having hobbies. These are all wonderful things that don't make you feel like you're in a prison. It's only a prison if you don't like who you live with and you secretly hate yourself and you want more than what you need and you're not content with what you have. So be cautious when listening to these hijabi feminists who are telling young girls to always leave their homes and to engage in behavior that predators will take advantage of.